Apologies for not getting much on recently. So what I'm going to do today is I was going to prep a load of meals. So I'll just take you through short steps on what I find handy to have in and how to prep. Unless you actually prep meals on a regular basis, you don't know how excited people can get about Tupperware. So, brand new stuff there. That's probably one of the biggest tips, because if you aren't prepared, you haven't got it, you can't do it. Simple. Next one is actually buying your food in bulk. So 5 kilo of chicken here, which was £20. And if you go to Calibre Meats in Alveston, they'll give you loads of freezer bags as well. So that's quite convenient. Mixing it up as well with the beef. So now carbs, and you know I love the boil in the bag rice. You could probably have one of these a day and it'll give you about 70 grams of carbs, and it's 25p roughly per pack, so cheap as chips. Also potatoes. What I'm going to do throughout this video as well is show you some of the ideas that I use to cook some of these off. So good things as well to have around: chopped tomatoes for putting in things like your beef. That's just going to make it a bit wet so it's not all dry. Kidney beans you can chuck in with your chilies, and you can also chuck in with your rice. And it's also handy to have some of these like little packet mixes about for your chilies, fajita seasoning kits for chicken, stuff like that. Also extra little bits, green and yellow peppers there with some onions, add a bit of flavour. And one of my favourite snacks, rice cakes. Having a couple of them at night actually feels like you're having a bit of a treat, almost like crisps. And not forgetting the buy in bulk eggs. Buy about 60 eggs at a time. I'll have 8 a day, 5 full, 3 whites. Try and get free range, please. Right, so the oven's on for my potatoes and the kettle's boiling for my rice. So 2 things I forgot to mention earlier were peri salt, essential, and also 1 calorie spray. So we're gonna lather the potato tray in this, and then try and get all the potatoes roughly to an even size so they cook nice and even. And then we're going to chuck some peri salt on them and then chuck them in the oven for about half an hour. Rice takes about 20 minutes, and then you've got carbs for days. So I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the potatoes and add in some of the magic. And shake the shit out of it. Ooh. Right, so rice is in, potatoes are in. Now I need to turn the attention to the proteins. Frying pan's on. I'm gonna get a bit of the non-stick in there. Don't really need that much, because you'll find with the beef a lot of the fat comes out of it, so it won't really stick anyway. So make sure that's all nice and level. That's a big tip. Make sure your food's nice and flat, because if you've got bits that are sat on top of each other, they ain't gonna cook, bro. What you might find when you're cooking is that like you get a lot of water or fat out of it. What I like to do near the end is just turn it up quite high, and especially water gets rid of a lot of that. There we go. If you've got a 4D telly, you should be getting the smell now. Right, chicken. What you want to do with the chicken is obviously make sure you have got to touch nothing else when you start doing this. So what I like to do is just bang 1 chicken breast in each bag, and it's roughly 1 chicken breast per meal. So me and my missus can work it out pretty quickly, whoever obviously is cooking it. So literally you want to get a bag, Done. And then obviously if you're storing your meats, making sure you're putting them at the bottom of the fridge or the freezer, because you don't want it to drip on anything. So that's nearly finished. All I need to do is chuck in the chopped tomatoes and the chili con carne sauce, and then that's done. Right, chicken. What I like to do is not drop it, but cut it down the middle, and then what you'll do is you'll find it cooks a lot quicker. But I personally think it's just nicer to cook because it doesn't take as long to cook, it doesn't go as dry. So it's a lot tastier in my opinion. Right, so chili is done. So you want to click it so it's on and it's on 0. That way it won't include the weight of the tub. And then I like to get about 250 grams of the chili, and then that means you can have a good chunk of meat. That's a good chunk of meat because there's a lot of tomatoes, beans, peppers and stuff in this, so you want to overcompensate a little bit on weight. Right, so chicken, olive oil in, and again I prefer to cook on a low heat. Find it keeps it a bit juicier. So we've got all the chicken here. That should do about 3, maybe 4 meals. Just some salt and pepper and some fajita seasoning. Alright, so a good tip from Gordon Ramsay. Put the chicken in the pan at the 12 o'clock position and then work your way around, because then you'll know what chicken's been in the pan the longest and you need to flip first. Right, so I hope you can hear me over the chicken. So what we're going to do now is weigh out the rice. So this will do 4 of the meals, and the potatoes will do the rest. I just like to have 4 even portions. So we're going to divide 690 by 4. So off the top of my head, that's 172.5 grams per meal, and per half a pack gives you 50 grams of carbs. So that's 50 grams of carbs per meal and probably about 40 grams of protein. Rest in peace, kidney beans. They got absolutely fucking destroyed. Dry as anything. Chicken. So, like I said, I want about 150 grams of meat. Ooh. Roughly 172.5 grams of rice. You've seen me do this one before. So because the beef is naturally quite high in fat, I don't add any to it, but with the chicken being ridiculously low in fat, this just obviously helps, number 1, bring the calories up for the day, and number 2, healthy fats. So, splitting this equally, that's 215 grams of potato per meal, and again that's going to give me about 40 grams of carbs and about 40 grams of protein. So there you have it, got a bit left over, but it's taken me about an hour, and I've got 2 beef and potato, 2 beef and rice, 2 chicken and rice, 2 chicken and potato. So loads of variety, and there's food there for about 4 days. So it has taken me an hour, but I've got food for 4 days. There's about 100 grams chicken spare, so brioche bun, Chicken goes on. Garlic mayo. I love making these videos, so if you've picked something up from it or you find it informative, please like the video, don't forget to subscribe.